It is the 17th of February, 2025, and Donald Trump has repudiated his oath. This is the warning. He said that he would preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Today, he declares something very different. He says today, he who saves his country does not violate any law. My friends, these are the words of a Hitler, of a Mussolini, of a Pinochet, of a Franco. They are the words of a dictator, of a Caesar, of a man who has no respect for the law, no concept of restraint, who is feeling flush with power and is exercising it. And in his exercise of his power, he is testing an opposition. He is testing old principles, and he is testing courage. He is testing courage in the media. He is testing courage in the Democratic Party. He is testing courage amongst our allies. And he is testing courage amongst ordinary Americans everywhere, whether they be a woman patriot, whether they be a young scientist at the National Institute of Health, or a veteran Foreign Service officer who has put their lives into harm's way many, many times in the service of their country that is being treated with cruelty, with capricious indifference by the richest man in the world and his lawless Silicon Valley mob. Donald Trump is president. He has been elected for a finite number of years with limited powers, restrained by the Constitution of the United States, which he has sworn to protect, but we all know has already desecrated that oath as he desecrated it the first time he took it. He has held out the possibility that he will not follow court orders. His lieutenants have done the same. His reckless demolition of the federal government will endanger American lives. He arbitrarily and insanely and idiotically fired the hundreds of federal workers who are specialists in handling nuclear weapons and nuclear materials at the Department of Energy. Gone. He has started to fire hundreds of air traffic controllers, despite the fact there have been 4 recent crashes. His border czar has taken to routinely threatening everybody.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately game the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could not be more correct when she suggests that border czar Tom Homan learn to read. He should, and he should start with the U.S. Constitution. This is a moment when all over the world, mouths are on the floor because they cannot believe what they are witnessing. A takeover, an assault on the ideas and values of something that is sublime, beautiful, ephemeral, that has existed for almost 250 years in a state of constant evolution and expansion. Freedom. The United States, at the moment of its birth, was declared to be, by the Marquis de Lafayette, who was there, a special type of land. The Marquis said, at the moment the British white flag could be seen, that humanity has its victory, liberty has its country. And he predicted that one day, this new country of liberty would light the old world and save it, which it did. Which is why so many of America's friends are disgusted and saddened, while a new birth of extremism breaks out all over Europe, stoked by an American vice president who walks amongst the shadows of the murdered ghosts at Dachau and then goes and meet with the far-right German politician who basks in the cheers of the people who imitate the Nazi cheers and slogans of 80 years ago. In Germany, J.D. Vance tells the Germans, time to move on, as the Patriot Front marches in America, as the January 6th criminals have been released, and as Elon Musk salutes extremism that much of the right-wing media tells the American people did not happen, and that the critics who saw it and were repulsed by it and who called it out are crazy, as the lies roll on and build and build and build. Each day, Donald Trump makes more and more extreme pronouncements. Each day, there are distractions while real dangers gather. What is happening at the Department of Justice is a travesty. It is an unethical assault on not just the Constitution, but the very concept of the rule of law. One of the foremost conservative legal writers in the country with the National Review, Andrew McCarthy, has made a point to call out this lawlessness. He has made the point that the Department of Justice, which was founded in the 1870s by President Grant to fight the Ku Klux Klan, has become an instrument of retribution and revenge. It has become a whip in the hand of a tyrant to police dissent. The Justice Department has clearly cut a deal with Mayor Adams, the crooked and corrupt leader of New York City. This has led two Republicans, federal prosecutors, Ms. Sassoon, and a former chief clerk to John Roberts to resign. The national media continues to demonstrate its fecklessness and its corruption with its refusal to stand with the Associated Press. The Associated Press has been barred from Air Force One and has been barred from the Oval Office in a capricious and unconstitutional act by Donald Trump because they refuse to change the name of the 400-year-old Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America because the President of the United States says so, like a 5-year-old toddler from the old Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason movie. The world does not run on the whims of the presidential version of the toy, the young, spoiled child bossing his servants about. There is no king in America, there is no emperor, there is no dauphin, and there is no dictator. The president is restrained by law, by the Constitution, and Donald Trump's encroachments against it must be opposed. And yet, when the national media has an opportunity to stand for the First Amendment, they stand instead with the Daily Caller and the Free Beacon and OAN and the whack pack of lunatic whack job nuts that Trump has congealed and consolidated into a new White House press corps while excluding the Associated Press. They stand with them and participate in the daily follies. They stand with them and participate in the reality show, as opposed to drawing a hard line and saying that our job is a serious job and a serious business with a serious purpose. We are here to hold power to account and to ask tough questions to the most powerful person of the world. And we do not accept being told what to write, what to say, what to think by him. Ever, because in America, there is a First Amendment. The problem is the White House press corps and the White House press pool has long been in the propaganda business because they are in business with Fox News. And so this was a partnership that could not endure, that could not last. And so now the New York Times and the Washington Post and all of these supposed great pillars of journalism, including the Times, which calls itself the paper of record, are on the side of Trump and Fox News and OAN against the Associated Press, who is locked out for refusing to bend. So long as you bend or don't object to the stigmatization and the carting away, well, maybe Donald Trump won't come for you today. This is the definition of appeasement, and it is immoral, and it is dumb. It is the philosophy that holds, if I feed the crocodile, he will eat me last. It is not a plan to survive. It is a plan to be eaten last. This is a difficult time in America. This is a time when it seems as if no one is standing up, when everyone is lying down. It's a tough time all over the world. People are watching in dismay as the United States of America turns against what it said it has always believed in. Donald Trump has issued a declaration of repudiation against 80 years of American policy and wisdom and lessons. Donald Trump says it's time to build a new history. Donald Trump has declared a new beginning. Donald Trump has said God has sent him to bring in America's golden age.
Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
These are some of America's most dangerous days. The storm is still ahead, but it is coming soon. And we all voted for it. Well, 49.9% of us did. And a lot of those people will suffer. And it's 2 years before we get to make a vote again. Until then, what happens is not entirely in Donald Trump's hands. We get a say. We get a say through protest, through speech. We get a say through direct action, through strikes, and through blockades and boycotts, and 100 other methods to show our displeasure to the man and his best friend, the richest man in the world, who want to be kings, kings of America. And the answer to that proposition must be, as it has always been and forever will be, no, not in this country. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.